Fellow tennis nerds, today I have a treat here with Oscar Torres, ex-pro, content creator, and tennis coach. He made a really funny video that caught my attention where he was showing what I used to do as a kid. I used to do like tennis motions when I was walking around like as an 8-year-old, and I was hitting like old ladies in the stomach inadvertently. So that was very funny and caught my attention. He makes some really good content on Instagram especially, maybe on TikTok as well if you follow that. But Oscar, how are you today?
Good, good, Jonas. Thanks for the invite. Very good to be here.
How did your like tennis background start?
Yeah, so I started playing tennis when I was 4 years old. I played the nationals, like the junior nationals and everything, until I was, of course, 17, more or less. And I started playing in 2009 futures. But then I had a little stop that I went to the university here in Colombia. I didn't go like to college. But after realizing that my life was actually playing tennis and traveling the world with my racket and, like trying to suffer a little bit this tennis life, I decided to quit on the university and start playing again futures. And then that was the time that I got my first ATP point. And from there, I started like traveling easier because when you got your first ATP point, it's actually easier to go to the tournaments because now you are at least you are like seated in qualifiers. And so I started traveling. I had a really, for me, I had a really good like career. I was not like really top, but I could like realize some dreams that I had. And some injuries like retire me like really young. I was 25, at least 26, but I started coaching right away. So it was a really good like tennis pro career, but I'm enjoying a little bit more my coaching career right now.
Ah, that's interesting. So your passion is in coaching. What is it in coaching that makes you enjoy it so much?
It's really, the thing was I was traveling with an Argentinian coach. It's called Jorge Gerosi. He's known because he was coaching in his career Javier Frana, Nicolas Massou,
Yeah.
Gaston Gaudio. So really good and great tennis players. But when I started with him, I knew that my technique and the way I was playing tennis was not the right way. Of course, because I didn't have like the best formation or when I was young. But when I started with him, he actually like he teach me from scratch how to play tennis. And I started like watching a lot of matches and like trying to understand the sport, you know. And I got into that level that I could think the play that it has to be done, but I couldn't make it because of my technique or because of anything else. So I started, okay, if I can actually see the real play, why can I not make it? So I started like to question all those things. And my coach, Chino Herosi, just told me like, I think you could be a really good coach because you can see tennis differently. You cannot like perform it the way you want to, but maybe you can teach it the way you like see the sport. So I started like to coach one of his players in the Challenger Tour, and that's I started practically in the Challenger Tour. So that's what a really good like entrance to the coaching career.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah. So starting on like the highest level almost pretty much, right? So that's impressive. Today, do you work with players like on Challenger Futures, or do you play with like, you enjoy more doing amateurs or like beginners or kids? What's your preference? What do you like most coaching?
So I've been doing like from few years ago like a lot of juniors futures with players. I worked once with Camila Osorio. Now she's 63 WTA. So we had a really good run in juniors in the J300s. Now it's called J300. Back then it was like grade one and A. But after that, I've been traveling with juniors in the COSAT tour, like in the South American like league, and also in future with some players. But I think it's different the way you approach juniors and pro players than amateurs. And amateurs actually are like a really good um, work to do on court because they are so grateful with everything you tell them, so they will be there, and they are like, they are different. It's a different player, they are always wanting to learn. The normal junior players are like, okay, I think I know this, and you're telling me the same thing I know, like they are more like I know everything right now, because and also because of their age. But amateurs is a really good like way to go to the court with them, and I love that. So I've been doing both actually right now.
I think it's a good combination, and you're not the first guy to say that. That amateur players, like, they're maybe new to tennis, so tennis is like super fun. But if you've been playing since you were like 4 years old or whatever, like, you're not so grateful to be a tennis player. You just want to win more matches, and it's your job as a coach to fix that problem or whatever. So it's not a lot of gratitude. They're like a bit spoiled, especially some kids, So it's a trickier
Yeah.
situation when it comes to like the traveling part of being like a player as yourself or now a coach. Is that something you enjoy? Do you think there's too much travel in tennis? How do you deal with all that traveling?
I actually think there's so much traveling in tennis, but I love traveling. The thing is, when you travel since you are like 8, 9 years old, all around your country, then all around for in my career, like in South America first of all, and then going to Europe, Africa, like going everywhere. You kinda, when you're at home, and you are at home at least 2 weeks, you kind of miss. Okay, I need the airport. I need my luggage. You need a lot of things that you don't have on daily basis when you are not like traveling. And when you are with different players, of course it depends. If you have juniors, the responsibility is really high. It's a bigger responsibility, because you have to be there for them every, like in the hotel, if they want to go to the mall to grab something to eat, you have to be there. But when you travel, for example, to amateur tournaments, that's actually great, because those guys are more relaxed. You can enjoy way better. Now with the juniors, you have a little bit of pressure, because okay, we have to do at least semis because we need the points, and so. But actually, the traveling, you need the traveling. Like, if you, like, as I say, if you travel all your life, it's like you need it, like your body feels, okay, I need to leave now Bogota and start traveling with someone else. But I actually, now I'm enjoying a little bit being in my base, like practicing either pros or juniors or amateurs. But now and then I want to travel a little bit.
Yeah, I have the same problem. Like, I always traveled as a kid, and now, like, if I'm back home for like 2 3 weeks, I start getting like I have to go somewhere. I
With the
get like
anxiety,
some
with the
home anxiety.
anxiety. Yeah. A lot
No,
of
yeah, yeah.
anxiety, yeah.
No, it's like weird. You feel like there's something wrong with you. Like, I talked to people. I talked today. I was like, I feel like traveling, but you just went to like, I was in California 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, yeah, but it was fun. Now I want to go somewhere else. It's weird how
Yeah, yeah.
that works.
Yeah, and I think only like I think athletes, like can understand us, because when we're traveling, oh, I need home, I need to go back, I need my base, I need my bed, my routine. But then you're here for 1 week, and okay, I need the airport, I need to go to this tournament, this club is amazing, okay, we have, I don't know, some tournaments, maybe Roland Garros, or maybe this, I want to go, so those things actually are part of our life, and it's so cool.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure. So your background, you said you had some technical flaws, but you visualized the game really well. You understood the game, and that's, I think, is quite common. But it makes you usually a very good coach. Like, you can really, like, I can see the way to execute this. Would you say that this is one of your main strengths as a coach, that you can really see like how a player can break down another player, or how they can use strategy, because that's becoming more and more important now with stats and everything.
I think it's a combination, actually. Like, for example, I didn't have the best strokes ever. like in my life, but I I love to study the game. I love to read. I love to check mentors. I love to watch like talks about them or something, and I like to get everything and get my own opinion, of course, of the things I read, the things I heard, and pass it to the players. But another thing that it's really important is the fact that I play pro tennis. Because sometimes if you don't have that experience, it's so tough for you to to communicate the things you want. But having that combination and the thing that I love to, I'm like a nerd also. Like, because I love to read, I love to check what are the tendencies, I love to go to tournaments and check what's going on, what are the different techniques right now, the different strategies. So I love math too. So I love like making like charts, tables, and everything. So at the end, all those kind of things are a really good thing about me, and that I can pass to the younger players, or even the amateurs.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more and more important to understand like the game, and also what are the trends, because it's changing so much. It's like every 5 years you see new types of players. Like now we have Alcaraz, Sinner, being like a new generation of players, and many younger guys coming up that are super dangerous players. What are some trends you're seeing maybe on the pro level? Like it could be from ATP, WTA down to futures, juniors. Like, do you see some new trends in tennis since you were playing as a pro?
When I was playing, I think we had more time to think, in the third, fourth shot, like going a little bit deeper on the rally. But now I think you need to get in position really fast, like as soon as you serve, if your serve is really good and you have a good combo like serve plus one, there you can, like Alcaraz, Sinner, all those guys are doing that really well. Like you can see Sinner's serve stats are like amazing. He has like 93% of first serves win percentage, so that's really high. But the thing is, they practice that. They are practicing that. They are practicing like how to get um really fast on the ball, like not in the like in the power or speed, but in times, like they want to be there, so the footwork is actually going like really 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 like in a really high quality right now. They don't do one step more or one step less. They are there in the steps they have to. So those things, for me, like this is one of of the ways I see tennis. Tennis starts like with your legs. Tennis starts with footwork, because you can have Rafa Nadal's new racket from him, sang everything, but if you can go from your forehand to your backhand, it's impossible. So tennis actually, our tool are our legs. So we need to start like giving this to communicate this to our players, because they are always thinking that their mistake is because of their hand, because they did something wrong with the hand, with the racket. But at the end of the day, if you're not like with a good position to hit, it's so tough to make a really good stroke or shot.
I think that's great advice, right? Because I think a lot of players on all levels like really think about technique. Being like, okay, I hit it not in front, I hit this, I hit that, but like the position of the legs and how fast you get to the ball gives you more time. So if you have no time to hit the ball, you're not going to be able to do any good technique anyway, right? So it's all about footwork, and that's
and at,
that's something you see. People are so fast today, right?
and at the end of the day, there's is so difficult to have two techniques that are actually the same. Once I was analyzing like a little bit Rogers, Federer, and Dimitrov, but with the past of the years, they changed a lot, like their forehand and backhand like styles. So you won't find two exact same techniques at the top 100, for example. So this is not about technique. Like for example, Sinner, Djokovic, Alcaraz, they do different things with their hands, with their preparation, you know. So we need to look for the thing they actually do, like the top 100 players actually do, and it's the footwork. Of course, it starts there, and after that you can hit the ball like Medvedev, you can hit the ball like, I don't know, Gulbis. Remember Gulbis that had a really, so you can hit. Yeah, he was like flying, like I
Yeah.
believe I could fly. That was so funny. We need to check on that. Like we need to analyze. So I think so many young players that want to go pro, they watch the match and they are not analyzing like what these guys are doing. They just are there like watching every point. Okay, that was a good point, but they are not like thinking on, hey, we have to do this. Look what Sinner is doing right now. So Sinner is preparing so fast and so short. I've seen so many videos from Sinner when he was young, and he was preparing so like so big, but now he's so like so small, you know, in his preparation. So all those things we need to check to actually be better coaches too, and to, okay, this is trendy right now and we need to start doing this because tennis is changing really fast.
Yeah, and the game is not going to get slower unless they do some rule changes. Like now, you have to play with multi-filament strings or this old racket, or one serve or whatever. Like because it's just evolving to more and more pace. And you see, it's like someone said that Yannick Sinner is like Djokovic 2.0, and in a way, he's like he moves as well as Djokovic, but then he hits harder. Because he has like more whip on the shot. Like he uses the hip more in his forehand, for example, and that's just like a next level player. Like, how do you beat this guy? You cannot out hit him easily, and if you give him an easier ball, then it's your toast. So it's like an evolution already there, right?
And I heard like you have to check also what all those players are saying about, like for example, Sinner. I heard Casper Ruud, and he was saying like, okay, I think it's way like more difficult to play Sinner right now than Djokovic, because Djokovic let you rally a little bit, let you think more, but Sinner is actually going all in every shot. So, and he's so fast, and he doesn't even, like, you cannot see if he's tired or not. He's always like 100% revolution. So those are the things I think we need to analyze. And he also plays so low, like he's tall, not that tall, but he's tall. But he plays so low. Like you can see him doing a squat like for 3 hours. Like, hey man, you need to get tired a little bit. So those things we need to analyze a lot.
Yeah, the funny thing with him is like he was always quite skinny, especially upper body. But if you look at his legs, they're like proper slalom, muscly. Like he's so wide. The wide, like low and wide. I think more than I've ever seen anyone play like with that consistency, just getting like super balanced to every ball, and that makes you so much more difficult to hit off the court because he's always there, right? And the technique is good, but it's the footwork that's really like impressive, And he goes for 4 hours, no problem. It's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
What's your
that's true.
feeling around for next year? Like, we have on the ATP tour, especially like we have Alcaraz obviously being a little bit more up and down. He's my favorite player to watch now because he smiles, he laughs, he enjoys
A
himself
showman.
and enjoys tennis. But then Sinner is the guy who looks to be more dominant overall, like especially more stable overall. What's your feeling about next year? We will see Djokovic win another slam. He has Murray now as a coach for 1 month or something, but what
Yeah,
will
but
happen, do you think?
those are big news. But I think Sinner will be on the top of the game. Yeah, I think Alcaraz too. But I think there's a new guy. I think well, he's not new, but I think Zverev is going to get his first Grand Slam. Hopefully, he's doing well. His forehand, that is like his weak part of his game, is doing so well. He's trying to understand a little bit more um, Sinner's game, Alcaraz game, so he has also really good like big wins. But I think it's hopefully it's gonna be his year. Of course not taking into account, Sinner and Alcaraz, right? So those are the things that I think for this year for next year, 2025.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're spot on with Zverev. He looks like he was very solid in this year, right? And close to winning slams. And at some point it's gonna work for him, you know, like but because he's too good. Like he has the serve, and if he decides to not miss, he doesn't miss. Like it looks
He
like he has this
doesn't.
game. Okay, I'm not gonna miss now. And I'm just gonna let the other guy, and then he puts pressure like always. So it would be weird if he doesn't, if he ends his career doesn't win a slam. I don't see that happening. Like he's been in several
Yeah,
finals
for
already.
for me, like I think he has struggled a lot, like in backfield when he broke his ankle and everything. So I think it's his year. He's doing well. The preparation, I think, it's being better and better, and hopefully it's gonna be his year. And okay, talking about Sinner, he's in another level right now. Look, he lost only 3 matches in the year. I think I just checked on that. That's, man, even in 1 week, one guy can lose like 3 matches, like practice matches, you know. So that's really, you need to be really focused on your career, you know. And in being number one and for Alcaraz and being that young, I think it's quite difficult. I think people don't understand that. Okay, they love playing tennis, but the world for them changed really, like 180 degrees. So I think that that's something we have to, like, to realize and to think about it, because these guys went from kids to, like, to stars, and they keep like performing really good. They keep going, and that's I think part of also of their team, coaches, physical trainers, and everything. So that's a really good thing about the sport right now.
Yeah, there's a lot to watch. Like, I mean, we were all worried, I think, when all the goats are leaving the game. Like, we started with Murray, now we had Rafa, or Federer in between. And Novak is maybe 1 year left. We will see how much motivation he has if he wins one more slam, you know, gets all the records. But we obviously there was worry like what was going to happen to tennis, but it looks like tennis is in pretty good shape now, like with Alcaraz, with Sinner. What's your feeling around tennis as a game? Like how popular is it? Like Latin America versus maybe, I mean, US we get numbers that it's not like so high on the list of popular sports. Europe it's still doing fine it seems like, but there's sports like paddle, pickleball in the US and stuff like that. What do you feel about the strength of tennis as a sport?
Well, right now I think, thanks Sinner, thanks to Alcaraz, I think tennis is having like a second, like, you know, like second opportunity, because of course people, when the goats were leaving, people were like, okay, now tennis, what's going to happen? Okay, this sport needs to change the rules, like, for being a little bit more like entertaining, to watch. But I think we have a second life. We have a second opportunity. We're doing good in Latin America. We're doing really good. It's like we're increasing the amount of players. Also, we have a really big threat that is paddle right now in South America. Pickleball is not yet that big. I think it's really new for this part of the world, but paddle is taking a lot of tennis players to the sport. So, but even though I think people are like way more concerned about, I want to improve in tennis. Tennis is better. Uh, I kind of create content for tennis mostly, but also some things of from paddle for paddle. And as soon as I post something of paddle, all the tennis players, like, you know, they coming. That's not a sport. That's for a injured tennis player, you know. But so they defend a lot the sport, and that's good, actually. That's good. And in South America we're having this also because of the ATP like calendar, and we are having like all those events and more challengers too. So at least we can go to a club and check on tennis players and good tennis players. But back then it was so difficult. We were watching tennis only on TV, you know.
Yeah, it's important to have it in your country, I think, and being able to easily access like really good level tennis. I think what's happened in Italy, like that's my take, is that they put so much money into like having more tournaments, so you could play on all levels. You can really rise up, and now even ATP finals is is in Turin, right? So
Yeah,
and
you can
they
actually be a pro tennis player without leaving Italy. All
yeah,
those futures, all those challengers, and
that's a
that's
huge advantage, right? So for many people, especially like maybe you live in Australia, which you have to travel is super expensive, or in Africa, whatever, like there's not a lot of tournaments, then you feel really like isolated. Like it's you have to be always traveling away from home. But in Italy, like you said, you're in Europe, so it's close to other tournaments, but you can technically play around Italy like a whole year, you know, like and really improve. And you see what that does to a nation because they're all now coming up so many players in top 100, right? Italians. So it's a very positive for them. But then we see if other countries can copy it, you know.
I think in South America we have a really good level. Of course, on clay court, right? But we don't have, like, for example, all those tournaments in Italy. That they are like every week futures, for example, because we have a lot of future players like in that level. Um, we don't have Tunisia like every week, like Egypt every week, Antalya like every week. In Turkey, I think we should. Well, that's so tough because we need a lot of sponsors and everything. But I, I, I I cannot imagine what could happen if South America had the one country that start doing that, because you guys you have like at least a 4 hour flight, and you will get to one of those. For us, it's you need to go to Europe, to go to Africa. That's so tough for us. And then, for example, in Europe, you if you're a Europe player, you can play and go home. We need to be there, paying hotel, paying food, paying for everything, like for at least the 3 months we have for our visa. So it's tough. But I think hopefully one day we can have all those tournaments in one same site, and we can start like getting more players into the 100. Even though we have players from Argentina mostly, but we will do better, I think.
Yeah, I think like the love is there. So it's just about like money, right? Like tennis is a money game. Sadly, there's not that much money for prize money sometimes. Like on the futures levels, the prize money is still not good enough, in my opinion, you know. And it feels weird that even if you look at other sports like Sinner, he had an amazing year, but compared to like football players, NBA players, or some other uh, sports, like he's not making quite a lot of money. Like, and then if you go down to the top 100 player, it's crazy difference. You know, tennis
It's
is tough,
crazy.
and you're self-employed, so you have to pay for everything. You have to pay for the hotel. You have to pay for your coach. The coach has to stay somewhere, food and whatnot. So it's not that easy to make it work financially, right?
And I think next year coaching will be allowed. So imagine, like, if you're a player and you want like that help, like you will have to put more money to take your coach, and or maybe to team up with another player, and hey, let's take this coach, and hopefully we can play in different hours, because we need him. But it's tough. It's really tough right now, and everything is getting like a little bit more expensive to travel, to the hotels, everything, because of tourism, and tourism is at his peak. So it's really tough right now to travel nowadays.
What do you think of the of allowing coaching? Would you think it's a good thing, or do you think it's a bad step for tennis?
Now, as a coach, I think it's a good step because now we can get a little bit like more involved. But the essence of the sport is you being there alone, like you are in the arena, and everyone is like watching your match, or or clapping or whatever, and you have to deal with that alone. Like you can check on your coach outside, but just signs and everything. That was so tough. But now I think, actually, like we can see like Ferrero with Alcaraz, like they are a team. They are two against one. Even though the other guys have a box with 10 coaches or whatever, they are actually two every day. They are playing two. So, and the chats they have, you speak Spanish too, so you can hear about what are they saying right now. So that's, for me, that's awesome. For example, in the Labor Cup, all those videos that you get from Instagram, the like players talking with the other players, like you have to do this, you have to do that, let's go this way. Those are like moments the sport need. Like like 2 days ago, I heard like Sabalenka was asked about like, hey, what can you do if you want to get the sport like with more viewers? And hey, mic up the players, like put a microphone on the players, and let's hear what they say to themselves, because we, when we're on court, we talk a lot, like not only mentally, but we talk a lot. Like they're like, hey, come on, I need to do this point, this point is so important, I have to do this, I have to do that. Imagine uh, hearing Sinner, like Sinner is like, he doesn't say anything. Imagine Sinner maybe talking something to their coaches. So that will be great. Also, coaching, I think it's gonna help like better matches too, and also to players. I think the player that will get the most benefit will be Rublev, because Rublev is always needing like, hey, a little bit some help from outside. But I think it's gonna help a lot of players to make a better career.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm also like I've been two side. Like I understand like all the thing about it's a mano a mano, like, or women versus women, like, and you have to solve your problems. But to sell tennis as like an experience, as a good product for the viewer, I think like getting people to understand the strategy of the game will make the game more exciting. So like, why is this coach telling Sinner or Alcaraz or Sabalenka to return differently, to move their return position, or to be more aggressive, or to like hold back a bit more? Like that's interesting for the audience to know. Then I understand some players are frustrated with it, but it's like if you really want to sell tennis, I think it adds, like anything that's mic'd up or adds a little bit of texture to it is quite fascinating to watch.
Imagine Djokovic with Murray, like they are a new team. Like, for example, if I'm a brand, I'm X brand, whatever. And okay, I am like in the news. I just saw Djokovic is teaming up with Murray. I want to invest there. I want to invest in these teams. I want to invest in this coach with these players. So I think we will pass from an individual sport to an actual team. Because now the coach will have like a good, like it's gonna be in a good place to say, okay, if he's going to the, imagine if he's going to the interview post match, I'll go too with him, like in soccer, like. So that would be great too, because I think the only way tennis can get like better, like in terms of money, of economy, if we want to increase the prize money, we need to start teaming up. That's why the exhibitions and Labor Cup and all those things have a lot of like good thing. As college tennis, there are teams, and there are a lot of people sponsoring the university because of this team and the football team or baseball team, whatever. But I think if we start like making good teams in the sport, we can actually at least a salary for tennis players, because we depend on if you win or you lose. If you win, you get money. If you lose, you don't get the money you need or you want. So that will be good for tennis.
Yeah, I really believe in the team format. I've talked a lot about it on this podcast as well. Like how amazing it would be if we had like Champions League in tennis, where you have like different teams from different countries competing, like 14 teams, 10 teams, 12 teams, whatever. And you also reduce travel a lot by doing teams formats. So even like if you could have more tournaments in one spot, and then you have maybe a final somewhere, like how Davis Cup is. Although you can complain about the format, some people do, but I really think like teams would also make tennis a bit more engaging. But you have to build it, because right now we're so used to tennis being individuals. So it's like it's a thing you have to build, the coach, that part of a team, and so on. But I think that is when tennis is at its best, or any sport really is at its best, right?
Yeah, it's like imagine if we can buy the Europe, the Labor Cups, the Europe t-shirt, for example. Like if there's one t-shirt from Europe with the Europe in the at the back. And imagine if I can go in Bogota to the biggest mall and buy that thing, like buy the actual T-shirt, you know, like in soccer, like you buy Real Madrid, you buy Manchester United, you buy, you know, imagine you can buy that one. So that's another way to increase the income in tennis. You know, I want um, some teams to from country like Colombia against Venezuela, and the best teams goes to the Champions League in Europe, and you know that will be great because we will have more fans. Okay, we do like for example Djokovic last T-shirt from U.S. Open, whatever. So you go and you can buy it, but it doesn't says like for example Djokovic at the back, like, and with a number like a soccer player. So if we start doing that, I think television will pay a little bit more also, and doubles players will get a little bit more of television too, because I think doubles is so cool, and doubles is actually sometimes is more entertained than singles in some matches, of course. Um, but we're not having that. We're not having that. We have two soccer teams from any place in the world at prime time in television, and number one and number two couples in the world playing a semifinal in any 250 ATP 250, and we don't have that. You know, so that's a thing that teams can actually really get if it's going to happen. I think it's we need to change this the way we are in our sport too.
I agree. I think the format of tennis sometimes, I mean, I go to several ATP 250s or 500s every year, right? And as usually as press, media, whatever. And you see like the first couple of days, it's empty. Like the best players are not there. Nobody's excited. People are working, whatever. It could be in the summer. Maybe they're doing something else. And it's sad because like there's a lot of sponsors here, there's money, players are here, everything's ready, but it's like the the whole format is it's something is a little bit wrong, right? Like, and also if you want to travel to this place to watch like Musetti or your favorite player, right? Let's say, right, then he might lose first round, and then you can't plan on him to be there
Yeah,
on
because
Thursday.
you have tickets from quarters like in advance, and you don't have first round.
That's the thing. Like, so, and also I think sometimes if they had more of a round robin format, like where the player need, especially like on futures level, if you get like at least three matches, like what they do in UTR, then it's more financially feasible for players to travel because they know I have three matches. I lose first match, I still have two more matches, because this format of like one match and you out, I think it's very
Out.
financially it's a destructive thing because you're like, oh, I traveled all this way, I lost first round. Okay, I mean, in Antalya maybe you can stay next week, you play another one, Tunisia, whatever, but in most places you can't, and you have to wait a whole week, right? So it's much better you get more matches, and then the fans can know that, okay, on Thursday he's going to play as well because he has three matches. Now it's like, okay, he's not there anymore. I went for nothing, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the top players were like concerned about, for example, Indian Wells and Miami, like they were 1,000, and that's a 2 week tournament. So imagine you lost first round in Indian Wells, and you have to be there 2 weeks, and then you lost first round in Miami, for example. So in a month you just played two matches. So for them it's like this is there's no way, but for example for us in futures, I can play three futures, I can lose in like in three first rounds, and but I need to go to three different cities too, and in the month I only played three matches. So it's really tough for us, and I think if we play round robin, we can also improve our tennis. It's not about like playing more, but you can also improve because, okay, in the first match I did this and that, I did these mistakes, but you have another opportunity in the same conditions, so you can do better in that match, in the second match, and you can start like building from there. And if you lost first match, you can still pass the draw, like the round robin. So I think the format must change for sure. We need to play more, and we need to get more sponsors, because once I went to Miami Open, I think for me the best rounds are first rounds, first and second rounds for me, because I can see everyone like they are not comfortable playing. There is the first match. They can actually lose like from the beginning, so they will need to play or think in so many different ways as they do on quarters that they are in automatic pilot. So I think we need to arrange all those things. I think nowadays less people is like jumping into pro. Like everyone is going to college, and after college, they say, "Okay, I'm not going pro. It's so tough. It's a lottery." So if we change maybe the format, we can have a better sport and a bigger sport too.
Yeah, I think, and also you extend careers a bit because like I think the travel kills a lot of people's interest, right? Like I mean players like they feel like losing, and especially when you're getting onto the futures, you have to qualify. Maybe you lose qualies, and then you travel to another, you lose another quali 7-6 third set. Like it's like, oh no, and then you have to go to another one, and mentally you're just going down the drain, and you, like you said, you have no chance of getting established in the tournament because you're not used to the conditions. Maybe it's like a cold, hot day or whatever. You're not used to it, right? And it's a rough one. You arrive maybe jet lag, and then how are you gonna get used in one day to play the next day against some guy who's like seeded two or whatever? Like it's a very tough.
But but the thing is, for example, I know you experienced. Everyone has experienced this. You lost whatever round is. You lost. You think you played. You didn't play that good. But the day after, you go to play to the in the same conditions that you didn't travel right away. You are in the same like site, and you play your best tennis always. Like after you lose in the same time, you play. The forehand is going. The serve is amazing. We don't have that in a tournament. We like. I think just in the Masters, you can play round robin. Otherwise, you can't. So if you lose, you still need to pay for the hotel. You need to still pay for the hotel for your coach, and also his food. So it's a lot of things that we are like every day is like a $200 day, something like that. Like with strings, with food for you, for your team, whatever. Is the hotel, the transportation. It's so tough. For example, look pickleball. We have been in tennis like so many years, but pickleball now it's doing leagues with teams like the Miami the team, the Atlanta team, and now they are getting deals like for like salary deals, like the players, and these players they are not pro right now. They've been playing 2 years, and they are getting salaries, and I think some of their salaries are better than a 200 ATP ranked player like in a year round. So that's something to think about. I don't know what are they are talking about in the ATP, ITF, or WTA, but I think it's something. It's a model they can take a look.
I agree. I think you could see like I like you. If I post anything about paddle or pickleball, I will get shot down in the comments. People will be like, "Well, if you post one
They kill
more
you.
thing,
They kill you
I will
immediately.
unsubscribe from your channel or whatever." Like I always get that, and I don't mind. Like if people want to play paddle, if they want to play pickleball, I've played both those sports. I enjoy tennis more, but I rather play a racket sport than no racket sport. So like if someone says, "Hey, you want to join the paddle game?" All right, I'll join. It's fun. But I'm still more of a tennis guy, right? So, but it's a bit like we're building up these walls. Like of instead, I think one good way of approaching it is like looking at pickleball. What are they doing well from a organizational marketing point of view? Because they're very good at the marketing. Like they be pushing this sport, which is obviously much easier to get into because it's not as skill intense as tennis. It doesn't take like 2 years to be able to play a rally or 1 year. Like tennis can be quite tough for beginners, but it's not as much fun to watch on TV, I would argue, right? Like it's not like as good, but they still get these sponsors and they create these teams formats and stuff that we have completely missed the boat on. I think in tennis, like we could have done maybe a bit more, but it's never too late, really. Like it's something we can improve. But if we have to look at them and say, hi, what is good in paddle, what is good in pickleball, what is good in other sports like football, whatever, can we use some of that to make tennis a bit more engaging? Maybe they're looking at it, but my worry sometimes is that tennis have like so many organizations like ATP, WTA, ITF, four Grand Slam organizations, and it's tough politically to have seven different organizations trying to see eye to eye on what we should do as a sport, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think it's a it's a dream, of course, but imagine having Labor Cup weeks during the year, every part of the world, and not even the first players in the world, like from the first to the 20th, the 20th to the 40th, like all those players around the world, like, or maybe having a salary that you can at least have an injury and you can still like get the money from month to month, and not like, I'm injured, I cannot receive any money because I can't play. So all those things, we need to check different sports to maybe adapt, because this is a life is a constant adaptation. But I would like, for example, the UTS format. That's different, and players like to play that, but also fans like to go and see and involve. So so ATP and all those organizations, I think they need to do something like fast, because otherwise we're gonna the sports, it's gonna die against the others. Because,
Yeah, you
for example, in Colombia we have a lot of sponsors that were in tennis that they are not now, no more. They are in paddle right now. So we start losing a lot of money from sponsors, like jumping from sport. So we need to do something fast.
Yeah, I agree. I think like you can keep Grand Slams the way they are. I think they're like, historical tournaments. You might, if you want to change to three sets, whatever. I mean, or five sets to four games for both genders. I think that could be interesting. But you can keep them. But then I think the general structure of the ATP WTA, I think you need to tweak it. You need to change, like maybe have some round robins, maybe try some other tournaments, other formats, and how to work with the points. Because right now, I think like there's so many tournaments, and I know some tournament organizers. Some may do really well, but some tournaments really struggling every year, and then like they lose their license, and then you don't have that tournament anymore, which was in the city for 30 years. So it doesn't look like we can just sit there, and wait for Alcaraz and Sinner to bring in more crowds. We have to do some changes on the lower levels as well, like lower pro levels, like.
Yeah, and for example, right now I think marketing managers from brands, from sport brands or whatever, they are actually preferring amateurs tournaments in, for example, paddle. I'm talking about the region, my region, than an ITF, a 25K. That you have at least a 500 in the world. But they are preferring putting more money to the amateurs, and, for example, the first category in paddle, second, third, fourth, than a good event, than a really. And they are streaming all those events also, like, that's so crazy for amateurs. So imagine the amateur is, it's like Alcaraz right now. Like here, for example, in Colombia, if you're playing third category, that is not the best category in the world, but you're being like being recorded. Your match is being live streamed, so you're like, man, I'm a star too, and that's good. And most of the times, all those guys owns companies that can that can give money to the tournament. So we need to do something. We need to do something, because these formats are killing our sports.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you see it as well. I think what you're seeing on YouTube, getting into content, which we both do, right? So it's that people like to see matches, like YouTube matches, even though the players are not that great, or it's just like they could see any match, right? Like just the format, it's not too long, when it ends, blah 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 blah. So there's an interest to watch tennis, but maybe not this old school way, especially in the first rounds. When you get to Grand Slam quarterfinals, I understand, like it's sold out, blah 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 blah. I'm like you, I like first rounds. There's new players, something can happen, upsets. I prefer that, but
I love
uh,
upsets.
yeah, it's the best, especially when you have like a player, when you have like a storyline. So you have one guy who's established, but he's maybe a little bit going in the wrong direction, trending downwards. You have some young interesting player who can make an upset, then you have a great matchup. You're like, okay, this can be interesting. We'll see how he will deal with the pressure, the established player. So I think the storylines, you always have to think about, like, how do we create interesting storylines in tennis? How do we build up the players so they are more like superheroes, or more like they have a more personality? And then how do we package that, like the match story? Like, what is the keys to winning this match? We have Bublik, he's an entertainer. Kyrgios a little bit entertainer as well, but there's not a lot of like entertainers in tennis. They're quite few. So we need to think of that as well, right?
And also, I think, I don't know, of course, the first 10 players in the world are a huge way to make marketing, but I think ATP just focus on them. Like if you see every ATP tournament, they take the same guys to do the same questions to for receiving the same answers. Hey, why don't you pick another guy? Maybe the guy who lost first round or something, like put a spotlight on him. Like it's tough for us to check on the same guys. Of course, they need to do that, yeah, but not every time. Like like try to move a little bit with the other players, because otherwise, all the other players are gonna come to a 250 here in South America, and they won't like be recognized by anyone. Because in the biggest tournaments, they pass like if they were like a tourist. You know, so all those things, I think we need to check on that, because marketing, okay, marketing is it's going nuts right now in every level, but we can do better things too. Like, for example, we create content, and we need every single day to start like looking for trends, for looking for what's going on in the racket industry, not only tennis, but so what's going on. So I think we should also take a look on the way those organizations are doing the marketing, because I think we could have a better sport, and we're not having it right now. So something it's going wrong, or in another way right now.
I haven't thought about that, to be honest. Like, I think it's a great point. Like, it's always the same story, because some players, like, I worked as a journalist before, right? That was my background. I worked in politics and some sports before, but it's like interesting when you some people are tough to interview. Like, you struggle, they don't have a good answers. Doesn't matter if they're three in the world or 300 in the world, but they tend to ask the same. And a lot of people are like, a lot of players are guarded. They have an agent there, they don't want to talk, they maybe have something ongoing, they're in bad mood because they didn't play well or didn't sleep, blah blah blah. And I've been to many boring press conferences where you're trying some fun questions, the player doesn't like it, boom, and it's not fun. So if you actually put the spotlight on players a bit lower, like you can go ATP, lose first round, win first round, whatever, but even challenger, like follow this guy on the challenger or futures tour for a week. Like, just pick a guy, and we do like a little bit, like maybe he can record his own, like, okay, 1 week with this guy, he's playing like futures, whatever. That's more relatable. So you can be like, oh, it's not easy to be how he's living in a trailer or whatever, he's stringing his own rackets, as something interesting. And I think there was a French TV documentary about like the more challenger players, like 10-15 years ago, and I thought it was super interesting. And I think a lot of people would like prefer to watch that over like Breakpoint, where you have kind of boring personalities. Sorry, like, they're not all boring, but it's like it wasn't the most exciting storylines. So you had to kind of make it like a little bit more Hollywood to make it more engaging. But I think if you find like a story that's interesting in tennis, because there's many, then you can really make people more engaged in the sport, right?
Yeah, but for example, in Breakpoint, I think they took really busy guys, really
Yeah.
busy players with with different kind of problems, and of course they are stars, but I don't know if they were like really into the recording every part of their life. But imagine 200 in the world. You put one camera, one, not 10, one, and the guy will be happy with just one, no mic, whatever. And he will start recording. Even he can record himself. Like, hey, and for example, I've seen, and the Challenger Tour Instagram page have been like doing some kind of things like, hey, one day in someone's life, and this is what this tournament looks like from a player's view. I think those things are good, but if we just take the first 10 players, it's gonna be the same every day, you know. Okay, Monte Carlo, okay, Dubai, you know. But imagine a guy that it's okay, I'm from, I don't know, Colombia. Imagine Daniel Galan. He's out of the 100 a little bit, but Daniel Galan, what's going on with Daniel Galan in one normal day? How he practice, how he like travels. No one knows that, but Daniel Galan has a lot of people that actually go on him, you know, like cheer for him. But we can't see that on the ATP Instagram page or so, you know. So I think we should do a different marketing from the biggest accounts on tennis, you know. That will help a lot.
Yeah, it's a great point. I also think you make another one there where it's like, you pick a Colombian, Daniel Galan, right? And showcasing a player, even if he's not top 100 or, top 50, whatever, from another country, he has local fans, right? Like he has his local fan base. So you reach like this kind of like, okay, the Colombians then, or
A
you go
new
to
community, an entire new
exactly.
community.
Yeah, like you go to Japan, you go to like Taiwan, whatever, you go to different places, to Africa, you follow some player there. But if you just keep with the same top 10 guys and women, like it's the same stories just being over and over again, because like they're already living in that stratosphere where there's not going to be
That
so much
bubble.
excitement, you know.
And I've seen, I think it's two Argentinians. One is Juan Paulo Paz, and the other is Mariano Kestelboim. And those guys are playing futures right now and some challengers. But for example, Juan Pablo is always saying, "Okay, I was in Turkey, Antalya, and so I did semifinals in singles, champion doubles, and this is what I got. This is what and that's real life, That's and I think he's getting a lot of engagement because that's what's it's going on. And the guy, I think it's 400, something like that, 300 or and Kestelboim too. They are like good rank. Good, they have a good ranking. It's not 100, but they have a good ranking, and they are kind of, I don't know if the word is exposing, but like giving info about the way they live with that ranking and the earnings they have. So I think all those kind of like videos and it's not marketing the thing they do, because they are actually saying, hey, we have a problem here in tennis and this is what's going on. But that's a good way to do it, actually, you know
Yeah, I agree.
because because for example, we're watching now. Taylor Fritz is like he's going viral every day, but also, for example, his girlfriend, you know so this like fashion thing. Wait, we need to go again to the players. Like, we cannot like check, okay, this is a girl, okay, she's so stylish and whatever, but we need to go to other players. We need to go to the real actors of this movie.
yeah,
So that's my opinion.
I agree 100%. Yeah, I think it's weird. Like they did one. I've noticed this. Like working in tennis now as like a content creator, like for a long time, and with the website and stuff, is also that when there was ATP listed content creators, they put like Taylor Fritz's girlfriend as like number 4 or one of the most important. Like there's so many players making interesting content. I'm friends with Carousel, who's now top 260 in the world, 270 in the world. He's making good videos on YouTube. Has 100,000 subscribers, something like that.
That's the Brazilian guy, yeah.
Exactly, right. So and he does a great job like doing marketing for tennis, and people come to his challenger matches because like he's made a name for himself. So he's doing his own marketing. He's not getting much marketing from ATP. It's all about like him doing everything himself.
I
And
think
there's
once
like
once he said when he said he was in a challenger, and he said, or in a future, and he said, okay, it's unbelievable. For example, I travel because the money I earn from YouTube, but I live because of that, not from the tournaments. And these guys are all living because of the tournaments, and this is not life. This is our income is too low, and that's so crazy, because the guy is an actual YouTuber, a really good YouTuber, and the other guys are like fighting every day on court, clay, sun, whatever, and that's true. That's true. And he earned the way he everyone is going to his matches, because of course he has made a brand, but that's the truth. So he's playing challengers, and the other guys cannot live because of that prize money.
No, it's impossible. Like I have, there are a few players doing this YouTube thing now, and there's the life on tour guys. They're Australians. They're like uh, decent. Like one guy's pretty good, Callum Puttergill, a good doubles player. Dane Sweeney is a more of a good singles player, but they show their struggle. Like they just like they have to hassle getting visas. They have to do everything. How it feels after a loss, like some crying and stuff, is really raw. And like an episode is 30-40 minutes, and I think it's just absolutely great because people can see the real like life on tour. Because if you're seeing Matteo Berrettini, who has like a supermodel girlfriend, is a supermodel guy, kind of. I mean, he's a really nice guy. I mean, I from what I've met him, but it's like it's not normal life. It's more like having a Kardashian, right? It's like
Yeah,
it's so
or
far from,
Badosas, Tsitsipas,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
though it's that's unreal. That's And I think the problem, and the main problem from the content creation from the big accounts in tennis, it's that they are focusing a lot on the less percentage of the fans. You have to go to the amateur, that is a huge community, but they're going, or they are making videos just for the guys who play pro, and that can actually really understand the language or understand what's going on. But there are a lot of people that they don't know how to pick a racket, and they love tennis. But hey, some content for these guys, help them. But they are not getting any help.
No, it's true, and I think also there's an issue that I've noticed. Like they now maybe they started working a bit more, but they don't really engaged much with the content creator community. Like I'm trying to have different interesting voices like you and other creators on this podcast because I think there's a lot of interesting ideas and discussions and stuff, but the ATP kind of works in its own little secluded way. Like they don't engage with, they don't invite people to let's have a discussion or let's do a collaboration or something like that. I think like it's run, of course I understand it's a big corporation, it's a big tour, blah blah blah, but I think there's a lot of interesting voices in tennis that can be heard, if they are a bit more open-minded on how to use them and how to use all the content that's being created, like on social media, for example.
That's true. That, for example, I would love to start like traveling a little bit more to different tournaments, like ATP tournaments and that stuff. But we I know that nowadays some tournaments can get this, or maybe brands like sponsors can get this influencer marketing, and hey, we're going to invite you to live the experience of the tournament and everything. Um, I also think that that's like a lot in English right now, like just for the English community, like the community that speaks English. But I've like message tournaments like, hey, let me help you, like creating content for people in Spanish. Like we have a lot of countries in Spanish tennis fans, but I sometimes I don't receive like an answer, like you just like read, so it's tough. It's tough because you want to help, you wanna engage with a lot of fans, and you want to give this, like to communicate all these things that maybe for the community is really good to check, but we're not getting any help also, like to do it, so it's tough. It's really tough to do.
Yeah, I've like, so I can get like press accreditation to some like ATP 250 if I know some people, whatever. But I try now, maybe like, okay, can I go to Australian Open? Can I do something? It's going to be expensive, of course, but it's like, it would be interesting. We have around 150,000 people every month on the website, and then there's YouTube 60,000 and the Instagram and so on. But they only allow, really, like it's better if you have like an old Austrian newspaper where there's no tennis interest whatsoever, because that's an official thing. But if you're coming from alternative media, like social media, alternative media, even if you have a lot of readers, a lot of followers, it doesn't matter. Like they don't, no press credentials for you, no like cooperation, no collaboration. Because like you said, like the Spanish is something I thought like, hey, maybe we should translate the site in Spanish, doing more for Spanish community, because like the Hispanic and Spanish tennis community is huge, right? Like it's a huge part of the world, and like you need to cover all this with different languages. You need to maybe have more like coverage in Japan because that's going to grow, in China, whatever. But it feels like there's a little bit of a disconnect between the official organizations and like content people and like the different countries, you know.
That's true. That's true. And I'm struggling right now with all those things because I would love to go to different tournaments and start creating content from there for their own account or mine account, you know. But we're not receiving the answers I think we should, you know, like because of the engagement we have, that it's, I think it's really good, like for the region is so good. But also I think, I don't know if they can do it, or maybe they can't do it, and that's why they don't even answer, right? So it's something to check on. But I'll still message them and DMs or whatever to to ask at least if there's a chance. You know, sometimes you have to invest. Sometimes in some tournaments you have to invest, and okay, I'll pay my hotel tickets, whatever. But I think we should start like communicating all those things.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think there's a that's kind of a one frustration for next year. We'll see if it improves. So getting into next year, what's do you have any like aspirations, any plans for 2025? Like what does your life in content and tennis look like?
So right now, keep building my community. I'm actually working on having some different like surprises for my community, for all those guys who are always there supporting. So I'll have some surprises, like I think for this year, hopefully, if I can make my time. So, and for next year, I will like to start traveling a little bit more on those tournaments, like to get more involved in creating content in different ATP, WTA tournaments, maybe UTS or something like that. That I think people needs to know how it is, and maybe go with some guys too, like players, and travel. But I think that will be 2025. Is still like working on my Instagram account, TikTok, because I think we need, the community have give me so much things that I need to give them back. So and the main reason I started like creating content is that I wanted to help a lot of people. I wanted to help, even with a laugh or even with a tip, but help, you know, to add something on to their lives. And I'm gonna keep doing it. And it's a hard work, you know, it's a full-time job, but I'm loving it, you know. I'm loving it. This part is it's a different type of coaching maybe, but still it's kind of helping everyone.
Awesome, man. That's a nice way to end on. I really enjoyed this conversation, man. It was great. We can keep in touch for sure for the future, if and maybe our paths cross in tennis sometime. That would be nice in
Sure,
real life. I would love to come to Colombia, or if we meet somewhere, uh, somewhere else. But
you're
really enjoyed
invited
it.
here anytime. You can come here anytime. Thank you, Jonas. Was a really good chat. Thanks you for the invitation, and hopefully we can see each other in some tournament.